Hello again, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a scenario in which North Korea and South Korea go to war. Now this is going to be a one-on-one fight. No China on the North Korea side, no US and Japan on South Korea side. This is just to see who's better. And of course the aggressor in this scenario is North Korea. They're the ones who are declaring war on the South, not vice versa. And yeah, it's a surprise invasion, so let's see how it goes. So first things first, and that is that North Korea sends forth a huge, and I mean huge and very, very powerful force to attempt to basically just hit South Korea hard in the beginning. They send these people towards Seoul until they are pushed back decently heavily. With that, North Korea begins an advance across the full-on border, and South Korea begins to mobilize the bulk of its military. With this, they push back around their capital of Seoul, and the North Koreans are pushed back heavily. But their next advance is probably going to get them back a lot of that land, which is over here in the north of South Korea. They're pushing around Seoul into much less defended lands where the South Koreans weren't expecting it. And down here, well, technically it's still the north, but they wrap up around the coast to attempt to destroy South Korea's infrastructure. With that, they meet up and circle the city and begin to push more and more into South Korea. South Korea's plan, on the other hand, is to push up along the North Korean border to attempt to threaten them. They reconnect with their mainland, and now North Korea's put themselves in a very bad spot. South Korea does two things that are about to turn this war from a North Korean victory to a South Korean one. And that's boop and boop. So yeah, the two main North Korean armies were just encircled and are being heavily beat back and killed, with both of them losing a tremendous amount of men and equipment to the South Koreans. The North Koreans managed to relink up and get out a lot of the troops, but in the end they still lose over 100,000 men and way more equipment than they could handle in this war. South Korea begins just all out to push back against the now weakened and frightened North Koreans, which, never thought I'd be saying that, but yeah, the South Koreans are just pushing back to the north to their border, and are going to be beginning, a push into North Korea itself. With that, they begin pushing into the south, and just all along the border, with, as I said, their superior weaponry, begin to push into the North Korean east, wrapping up along their coast using their superior navy, along with logistics that the North Koreans never had. But let's not underestimate the North Koreans here either, as they begin to push back the South Koreans over here in the, I guess you could call it the western North Korea, and closer to the border, although the South Koreans hug up with the coast, and it becomes increasingly difficult for the North Koreans to push them back. With that, the North Korean advance becomes almost entirely a futile attempt, and South Korea just begins an all-out push with their full military into North Korea. After taking a good portion of the southern country, they begin to wrap up the western coast. And yeah, North Korea, on paper they look strong, but in reality, South Korea is much, much more powerful. With that, they make a spearhead and capture the capital of Pyongyang. All of central North Korea falls. And yeah, normally around this time, China would be joining in. But as I said, this is a 1 versus 1. China will not be joining in. South Korea captures the entire western coastline of North Korea and manages to make a spearhead that cuts the country into two. With that, North Korea, their government just completely starts to fall, and they go crazy. How do they go crazy? Well, have you ever heard of nuclear bombs? Now, North Korea has no control over where these go, but one landed pretty near Seoul, and South Korea is mad. How mad is South Korea? Well, let's just say North Korea less than a week after that. But hey, they bombed South Korea, right? Yeah. South Korea. It's not going to be very good for them now, is it? Eventually, the bombs lead to just some radiated areas around. But yeah, that was North Korea's kind of last attempt to weaken them. And it has definitely worked for the North Koreans. So yeah, in the end, South Korea did win, but they were nuked in some areas and lost a lot of men. And yeah, just a ton of strength was lost. With that, though, the North Korean entire regime is toppled. The people are given their liberties back. And honestly, I don't think anyone would fight back against the South Koreans. Sometimes when militaries invade a country, the people rise up against this new military power. But in this scenario, I think the people will help them. Like, for the North Koreans, considering living standards in the two countries, they'd open the South Koreans with open arms. So yeah, Korea's unified, and the West just got stronger. A whole lot stronger. Can I just... yeah, I can. So yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And if this thing's actually gonna work, see you all next time. Bye.